High-tech city, massive tournament, prize pool off the charts. The crowd is losing it, pure chaos in the stands. This is it, the legendary pinnacle battle is finally here. The announcer floats out, ready to kick things off. He introduces the first real showdown of the day. Shadow Oath steps into the arena to thunderous cheers. But his opponent, none other than the arena queen herself. They Covenant, top tier, and everyone knows her reputation. The VIPs are buzzing. These two are the absolute strongest. Someone whispers that Shadow Oath never even enters these. They guess he's only here for that life pod prize. Meanwhile, the crowd is going wild placing their baits. Everyone's divided on who's actually going to take this. Many are backing Shadow Oath for his raw, veteran experience. Even at max level, he's got that edge. But wait, people notice he's holding Day Covenant's own signature sword. Not even his own legendary weapon. That's strange. Day Covenant doesn't wait. She screams at him to bring it. She's not playing, launching a flurry of lethal strikes. But in a flash, we see the real story behind this. Shadow Oath isn't fighting for glory, it's for his brother. Turns out, Day Covenant planned to throw the entire match. She even gave him her sword to make the loss look real. He sincerely thanks her for handing over the grand prize. She just says it's nothing compared to saving a life. A total sweetheart. Honestly, you can't help but root for them. Back in the present, Shadow Oath kicks into liberation mode. He wants to finish this staged fight as fast as possible. Day Covenant plays her part perfectly, holding her ground. She throws up a massive hexagonal shield to tank the hit. The commentators are losing their minds, hyping up the clash. Unstoppable force versus immovable object, the ultimate matchup. Except she drops the act, a dark shift in her eyes. No need for thanks, she says she's becoming the soul peak. Shadow Oath is completely blindsided by the sudden, cold betrayal. His face is a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. Day Covenant just smirks, loving his confusion and despair. She calls out to the blade he's currently holding, commanding the Ice Emperor to return to its true master. It dematerializes, flying right back into her waiting hand. Now wielding both legendary blades, she's done with the charade. Time to end this. She unleashes a devastating final attack. A massive explosion of raw energy engulfs the entire arena. Shadow Oath is left completely defenseless, totally wide open. Cut dead center in the blast, there's nowhere to run. As his body glitches, he asks why she would do this. After treating her like family, but she coldly reveals the truth. Her motive was to steal every inheritance he had for herself. To add insult to injury, she admits she won only through deceit. Since she couldn't beat him fairly, the crowd roars for Day Covenant, the new arena queen. As Shadow Oath's avatar dissolves, he finally realizes that giving her his legendary sword was a trap. It was part of her elaborate plan all along. With his last digital breath, he apologizes to his brother for failing. The shock of her betrayal sends him screaming as he disconnects. He is violently ripped from the game. He wakes up in his room, totally dazed by what just happened. Then, his brother walks in, asking if he had a nightmare since he was screaming so loudly. Then he cheerfully hands him a brand new gaming headset for his birthday. Shadow Oath just stares in absolute disbelief. This is the very brother he was fighting to save. He wonders if he's dreaming, since his brother should be in the ICU, not standing there perfectly healthy. His brother, however, isn't amused by the ICU comment. He gives him a solid whack on the head. He realizes he's not dreaming. He's somehow traveled back in time. He tackles his brother in a massive hug, leaving the poor guy totally confused. His brother is completely weirded out by the sudden clinginess, trying to shove him off. But for Shadow Oath, this is a miracle, a second chance. He flashes back to when they were kids, right after a car accident took their parents' lives. Passed around by relatives, the two orphans were left with no one. Back then, his older brother carried him through the pouring rain, promising to always be there for him and he kept that promise, working every odd job to provide for Shadow Oath. The guy literally gave up his own future for him, just so his little brother could have a chance. And just as Shadow Oath was about to repay that kindness, tragedy struck. He remembers the doctor's grim diagnosis from that original timeline. His brother was dying, with a rare life pod as his only hope. That life pod was a piece of near-mythical tech that could repair anything, but only a handful even existed. So he ground his way from nothing to become the legendary Shadow Oath. But money alone could not buy that pod. Luckily, the 10th Arena Tournament offered a life pod pass as the prize. His one shot at saving his brother. But he never expected his own comrade to betray him. 10 long years just to get backstabbed right at the finish line. Back in the present, his brother shakes him out of it. Reminds him his friend Fang Zemo is on his way over. And right on cue, a new guy shows up at the door. Meet Fang Zemo, the wealthy young master of the Fang group, whose favorite hobby is apparently robbing the rich blind. He hands over a birthday gift, a bottle of top-tier nutrient fluid. Shadow Oath assumes it is stolen. Zemo just shrugs it off, tells him to keep it or sell it before bolting for the launch. Shadow Oath promises his brother he will work hard for them. To give him a better life, Zin just tells him to stop. Focus on college instead. Don't worry so much about the money. He says he will be crashing at the construction site again. Warns his brother about getting hooked on these new games. Just as he is heading out, Shadow Oath calls after him. With a sudden wave of maturity, he tells him something important. Reminds him to wear his safety gear at the site. Zin is a little weirded out by the shift but heads out, thinking to himself that his brother finally grew up. The second he is gone, Shadow Oath grabs the new headset. He logs into the game Miracle, feeling right back at home. As he declares his return, he dives into character creation. Picks a human warrior with strength and firearm skills, no hesitation. And when prompted for a name, he reclaims his legendary title. Shadow Oath, the world of Miracle is already crawling with monsters. Some seriously nasty-looking things waiting in the dark. But Shadow Oath is unfazed, just staring them down. Now watch this, he makes his grand return. He instantly chooses Sunflower State as his spawn point. Dropping into the world like a literal bolt of lightning, a massive beam of light slams into the city square, marking his dramatic arrival among all the other newbies. He spawns into a bustling town surrounded by a sea of players. Checking his stats, he is back to a basic level 1. A fresh start for a human warrior with a clean slate. His talents are already locked in enhanced strength and firearm mastery. A perfect combo because in this game anyone can use anything. Seeing a mage swing a giant axe, yeah, that is totally normal. Most rookies die constantly because they start with absolutely nothing. But Shadow Oath knows better than to make those mistakes again. He remembers dying uselessly in his past life. So this time he heads straight for the shop immediately. He walks out after spending his starting cash on basic gear. A few low-grade copper items, just the essentials. Everything feels eerily familiar, exactly as he remembers it before. All that pain from his past life, it only makes him more determined. He thinks of Day Covenant, promising himself they will meet again soon. But just then, the town alarm bells start screaming. Monsters are breaching the west gate, absolute chaos. The city guard captain yells at his men, ordering them to hold the line. A massive swarm of shadow fiends descends on them. These are neutral monsters, so they won't strike players first. That gives Shadow Oath a huge window of opportunity. While the guards are fighting for their lives, he just sprints past. He moves right through the chaos, leaving the soldiers completely baffled. The captain sneers, calling him a fool throwing his life away. The idiot civilian is running straight out of the safe zone. A system warning flashes, telling him he has left the safety area. But that is exactly where he needs to be. He spots a dying guard who tries to force a useless delivery quest on him. Instead of accepting, Shadow Oath refuses. He hands over the 3 copper swords he bought earlier. He knows something the others don't. The standard quest is garbage. But giving the guard those swords, that is the secret trigger. It unlocks a hidden quest to save a nameless swordsman. He confidently promises to save the guy. He heads deeper into the woods, straight into the monster swarm. He arrives just in time to see the fiends ganging up on a soul. That poor soul is actually the legendary wine sword saint, Delic. You can see it on his face. He's looking for an heir. The saint is unarmed and getting completely overwhelmed by the swarm. Shadow Oath tosses a sword right at him. Delic catches it midair, finally armed and ready to fight. Now watch this, here is where the tide turns. The sword saint lets out a roar, ready to decimate the shadow fiends. He unleashes a blinding flurry of slashes. The blade carves through the entire swarm in seconds. It engulfs the whole area in a massive vortex of sword energy. Everything leaves nothing but dust in its wake. Immediately, Shadow Oath's screen floods with loot notifications. He just leached all the experience from that monster swarm. As the dust settles, the swordsman turns to thank him. Shadow Oath knows exactly who this legend is. He remembers blowing it last time by exposing his identity. This time, their affinity is already climbing high. Delic offers him any reward he desires for the rescue. Our boy knows this is the trigger for the hidden quest he wanted. You cannot be too polite with this guy. You have to be direct, but not greedy, to get the good stuff. So he speaks up and asks to learn the secret art of the blade. The sword work hits hard, genuinely impressing Delic and instantly netting him. A new skill lock triggers. Delic gives him a classic see you around, before vanishing into thin air, leaving Shadow Oath with a nice affinity boost. He also snags a new sword technique plus a massive, continent-wide reputation buff for impressing the swordsman with his secret. Quest complete. He casually strolls back to the west gate of the starting town, where the guard captain is practically losing it, tripping over himself to thank our boy for the daring rescue. Shadow Oath plays it off like it is no big deal, collecting a nice chunk of experience and cash, and his affinity with the captain skyrockets, basically making him the town's new favorite adventurer. Now with some starting capital in his pocket, he heads straight back to the item shop with a very specific shopping list, ordering up some frost traps, snare devices, and a musket, already prepping for his specialized build. After dropping most of his quest money, he walks out, fully equipped for his next move, grabbing a quick bite to eat, while plotting how to break the game even further with all his preparations complete. Shadow Oath confidently announces his next destination is the Shadow Forest. Arriving in the appropriately spooky woods, he immediately starts sneaking through the undergrowth, knowing the local monsters are just low level fodder, not even worth his time to fight. See, he is not here for trash mobs. He is hunting a specific bronze tier boss named Bartle. A quick system check confirms his target is a level 5 boss, just 500 meters away. And sure enough, he spots the hooded figure surrounded by a mob of frost-starved cultists. Now watch this, here is where the shopping trip pays off as he pulls out a simple frost trap, setting it down. Because fighting a higher level boss head-on is basically a death sentence. After placing the trap right in the boss's path, he backs off to a safe distance, then pulls out a snare device, using some life powder to boost its success rate. His traps all laid out, Shadow Oath takes aim with his newly bought musket. Through the scope, he has got the boss Bartle locked dead in his sights. He pulls the trigger, landing a clean headshot that deals a whopping 1 point of damage. Bartle is understandably less than thrilled about getting poked in the face like that, so the enraged boss immediately starts charging straight for Shadow Oath's hiding spot, right into the frost trap, which instantly slows his movement speed for a few precious seconds. Before Bartle can even react, the snare device triggers too, locking him down completely, giving Shadow Oath just enough time to start repositioning while the boss is stuck in place. A system warning flashes he's moving too far, losing his grip on the boss. No choice. He drops to one knee, breath steady, focus razor sharp. He fires again, dead set on keeping that monster from resetting. Another clean hit lands square on Bardal's forehead, drawing his ire. The boss takes a whopping 1 point of damage. Honestly, kind of adorable. Then those massive feet start to shift, morphing for a heavy charge. Bardal's done playing around. He's coming for blood. The system alerts confirm it. The boss is fully enraged. Relentless pursuit. That's exactly what Shadow Oath was banking on. He starts kiting the monster back toward town, pulling him into the trap. The gates of Locktown appear, and he thinks he's got this in the bag. But here is the thing, this boss is way faster than he remembered. The gap is closing way too fast. With Bardal looming, he whips out his sword to hold the line. One sword style, he unleashes a massive wave of golden energy. It tears through the air, heading straight for the charging titan. Bardal doesn't even flinch, just throws up his hands to form a shield. He blocks it head-on, then swings back with a brutal counter. The impact hits Shadow Oath hard, tearing through his health bar. The boss just sneers, clearly loving this one-sided beatdown. He gloats over our boy's crumpled form. The plan looks dead. But then, out of nowhere, a burst of light heals him for 100 points. The town guards finally arrived. They recognize him as the hero who saved their men, and they're moving. They start stacking buffs, spiking his power, defense, and speed. That was his real trump card all along. He knew the guards would provide support without triggering the boss. Bardal is absolutely furious. His punching bag just got a support team. The boss channels dark magic, triggering a frenzy state. His attack speed jumps by a terrifying 50%. But the guards aren't shaken. They throw up a holy shield. Total damage immunity. Now he is untouchable. With that shield keeping him invincible, Shadow Oath goes all in. He trades blows with the frenzied beast, gritting his teeth hard. He refuses to give an inch, pushing back with every ounce of grit. He overpowers the monster's desperate strike. A blinding flash of light erupts, obliterating Bardal for good. The system pings with a massive underdog bonus. He hits level 2 instantly, and the loot drops look seriously good. A bronze sword and some rare paladin braces. Not bad at all. With the chaos over, he gets down to the real work. Time to distribute those hard-earned stat points. A quick check shows the results. He's already hitting harder. His talents are stacking up, boosting his base attack power. The coast is finally clear, and he's stronger than he's ever been. He walks into town like he owns the place, immediately equipping those pallet embracers. Even with that class restriction warning, he doesn't care. He takes a 20% speed hit just to double his damage output. Some old guy nearby clearly hates it, but he just ignores the judgment. The guard captain gives him a stern warning about those reckless tactics. He promises not to save him again, but Shadow Oath just shrugs it off. He thanks him for the help, fully aware of the timing. That captain's support is now on a 6-hour cooldown. He smirks. He admits his whole plan hinged on those guards backing him up perfectly. With his goal achieved, he gives the captain a quick wave goodbye. He's already focused on the next grind before the guard can say more. First, he heads back to the item shop. He needs to restock on potions and other essentials for the long road ahead. His next destination is the appropriately named Withered Forest, just east of Rock Town. He steps into the creepy woods, feeling the change in the air. A system notification confirms he has officially entered the new zone. While venturing deeper, he checks his inventory. He finds that handy float potion he grabbed earlier. Suddenly, a skeletal foot bursts out of the mud right in front of him. A full-on skeleton warrior lunges out of the dirt for an ambush. Without even flinching, Shadow Oath meets the attack head-on. He draws his blade in a blur of motion. He unleashes a powerful swing glowing with brilliant golden energy. It connects dead on. He blasts the skeleton back with a massive hit. The monster just stumbles back. It's not going down that easily. That is when more skeletal hands start clawing their way out of the ground. Suddenly, he is completely surrounded by a whole squad of bony minions. They lunge at him, so he leaps right into the middle of them. He brings his sword down in a heavy, crushing strike. He shatters one skeleton's skull into a million pieces before it can even react. He immediately pivots, smashing another one's head clean off its shoulders. He finished the job with a spinning slash. That one move wipes out the entire mob in a single go. With the group cleared, he leaps forward to finish off the last straggler. It is desperately trying to crawl away from the inevitable beatdown. Shadow Oath figures one more clean hit should wrap this up nicely. He lunges in for the kill. He aims to shatter its skull with one final blow. He brings his sword down with absolute confidence for an easy finish. But get this, the skeleton suddenly blocks his attack with its bare hand. A classic fake out. A second one ambushes him from behind, stabbing him right through the chest. The trap fails, and he still manages to take them both down. Collecting his 110 experience points, the system confirms it was a high. High risk, big reward, just the way he likes it. These bone soldiers drop way more experience than any other mob here. Pushing deeper into the withered forest, Shadow Oath reflects on his past. Back then, he would have just grinded this spot for useless potion ingredients. He used to think these slow skeletons were easy pickings, no threat at all. But this time, he's got his sights on a much bigger, shinier prize. This forest is actually a gold mine for player wars, all because of the loot. While the game has 5 standard chest tiers, this zone hides something special. A unique tier-less chest, one that can be opened 10 times before the quality drops. He remembers the first player to find it, Ching Heng, a rival guild master. That guy used the gold tier shield inside to become an unstoppable tank early on. Shadow Oath is here to make sure that legendary loot ends up in his inventory. He pulls up a holographic map and confirms the hidden location is right ahead. Clearing 10 bone soldiers and a few guardians is the only way to reach it. Suddenly, a system warning pops up. The Imperial Alliance is clearing this zone. Shadow Oath isn't impressed. The game just launched, and they are already acting like kings. He remembers this guild from his past life, a pack of aggressive bullies. Their whole strategy was being strong enough to force weaker players to join them. But honestly, they were all show and absolutely no substance. Watch this, they eventually get wiped out by a real powerhouse guild later on. Knowing their pathetic future gives him a nice little boost of confidence. And right on cue, some low-level goons from that very guild decide to bother him. A red-haired player steps up, flanked by 2 others, telling him to get lost. They claim they are taking over the area, but Shadow Oath just smirks at them. He is completely unimpressed by their little territory-marking stunt. Their leader, Xinjia, steps forward, clearly expecting him to be terrified. Turns out the guy is already a red name. He has been hunting newbies since launch. That is a high-risk playstyle that comes with some nasty debuffs if he dies. Tia eyes the bronze sword in Shadow Oath's hand, surprised by such good gear. He even gives a backhanded compliment, acting like Shadow Oath must be skilled. But that is where the pleasantries end for our guy. Tia just gives his 2 goons the silent signal to attack. It's go time and he's ready to show them exactly why they should have stayed away. These goons have no idea they are picking a fight with a veteran. Tia thinks he has the upper hand, but he's about to learn a brutal lesson. Shadow Oath shifts his stance, his grip tightening on his sword. He isn't just surviving this encounter, he is going to dominate it. One wrong move, and these bullies are going to lose everything they farmed. The tension in the air is thick, almost heavy enough to choke on. Does he have a plan for all 3 of them at once? You better believe it. He has been waiting for an opening like this. The red-haired goon lunges first, weapon raised, screaming something foolish. Shadow Oath doesn't even flinch, his eyes tracking every single movement. A calm, calculated predator facing down a group of barking dogs. Let's see if their gear is as impressive as their loud mouths. The signal goes out, and those 2 lackeys charge straight in. They're looking to jump a solo player for his loot, but a system alert hits. It grants Shadow Oath 20 minutes of justified self-defense. Perfect timing, because these two are coming in fast. They have no clue who they're messing with, charging in with all the ego of guys who've never been one-shot before. Shadow Oath doesn't even blink, meeting their rush head-on. One decisive swing, and suddenly, they're tumbling backward. That hit connects with brutal force. One goon barely manages a block. Still, he takes a massive 21 points of damage. He's completely stunned by how hard our guy hits at such a low level. His buddy tries to capitalize on the opening. He rushes in for a cheap shot from behind. But the punch only deals 5 points, barely a scratch. Shadow Oath just smirks, knowing their white tier gear is useless. He grips his sword with both hands, done with playing around. He's ready to end this little scuffle right now, bringing the blade down in a golden arc of pure power. Wait for this. Here comes the real heat. Chinta is absolutely furious watching his men get manhandled. The attack lands in a blinding flash of golden light. It rocks the entire area, shaking the ground beneath them. Except the guild leader jumps in, blocking the hit with a massive shield. He's not amused, realizing this solo player is way more trouble than expected. But Shadow Oath doesn't give him a second to breathe. He's already winding up for another strike, immediately launching himself forward with another overhead swing. He's going all out to break this stalemate. Chinta has to brace himself hard. The blade comes crashing down on his defense. A massive shower of sparks erupts as metal clashes against magic. Locked in a brutal power struggle, neither one is willing to budge. Shadow Oath just keeps pouring on the pressure, grinding his sword right into the shield with a surge of raw force. You can feel the tension building here. The blade grinds through, landing a clean hit to the head. 16 solid points of damage, just like that. The guild leader is left completely shocked. He can't believe his defense was broken that easily. Shadow Oath doesn't give him a second to recover. He's pressing the attack, forcing Chinta to scramble, desperately raising his shield just to stay in the fight. See, a shield warrior is basically a sitting duck once their defense fails. Shadow Oath is exploiting that gap perfectly. Unleash a wild flurry of strikes that just melts his health bar. Chinta's health drops dangerously low. He's realizing the truth. He is completely outmatched, panicked. One of his lackeys screams out. The rest of the guild charges in to save their leader. Suddenly, the entire Imperial Alliance mob pours out of the woods. Shadow Oath gets hit with a stun effect, but he digs in his heels, refusing to be pushed back. He holds his ground as the entire guild swarms his position. From the tree line, he finds himself face to face with them. Their real leader stands there, the guild master, Cheng Heng himself. Cheng Heng is furious that one solo player is manhandling his men. He orders everyone to protect Chinta. His guild members rally behind him, finally feeling confident with their boss. Shadow Oath just scoffs at the pathetic display. Do they seriously think their numbers will save their guy? He answers his own question with a flash of light, unleashing a massive golden sword aura attack right at the group. Cheng Heng steps up to block it head-on, proving his strength. He raises his shield, but the attack is too much. It barely scrapes past his defense. The strike misses its intended target entirely. It slams right into a poor guild member standing behind him. A perfect friendly fire moment, sending the man flying. That unlucky guy hits the dirt hard. It leaves the Imperial Alliance looking like total amateurs. Shadow Oath even gets reputation for the kill. Since they attacked him first, the gang counts it as his. With the guild in total chaos, he sees his opening. He launches himself into the air, pulling out a levitation potion. It's a rare item, and it only lasts for a few seconds. He downs it mid-flight, kicking his clever escape plan into gear. Down below, Cheng Heng absolutely loses his mind, screaming that he is going to hunt our boy down. Shadow Oath just taunts him from high above. He uses a tree to launch himself even higher. basically parkouring through the treetops while they watch from below. They lose track of him completely. Forced to admit they can't catch him, he vanishes from sight. One of Cheng Heng's lackeys asks if they should even chase him, but the guild leader furiously shuts him down. They have to secure the treasure chest first. He demotes Qin Xia for his arrogance. What a morale booster! A system prompt confirms the prize is just 200 meters away. Meanwhile, Shadow Oath lands safely. He admits that potion was for a totally different escape. With the chest gone, he's forced to find another way to his prize on the fly. He spots the guild mob closing in, and they actually give Cheng Heng some respect. They think he found it, but our boy is already way ahead of them. He spots the chest resting on a fallen log and wastes no time. He reaches out, aiming to claim that loot before the guild even catches up. But as his hand touches the lid, the whole thing starts glowing with strange energy. Cheng Heng is completely baffled by the noise. He's not used to people outsmarting him. His second-in-command just brushes it off as the wind, a truly brilliant deduction. So the guild leader orders his men to form a human wall and charge forward. Whatever that means, apparently it involves making a human pyramid to climb a tree. A top-tier strategy for sure. Meanwhile, Shadow Oath is already at the chest. He's initiating the painfully slow opening sequence, and he's getting super antsy. That progress bar is crawling, and Cheng Heng is literally flying at him now. The guild leader is closing in fast while the chest is barely halfway unlocked. With just seconds to spare, Shadow Oath watches the bar hit 90%. Hoping for a miracle, the chest finally pops open in a massive golden flash. Right in their faces, he scores a gold-tier accessory that boosts all his stats. It even gives him a levitation skill. The chest also dropped a rare book. It is Gale Assault, plus a piece from the Light Feather series. That is a must-have dash skill for any serious melee player this early on. With his new loot secured, Shadow Oath is already making a run for it. He's leaving that entire guild in his dust while Cheng Heng finally arrives. The guy thinks he's about to cash in on legendary gear, only to find it empty. That sends him into a predictable fit of pure rage. He spots Shadow Oath parkouring up a tree and immediately starts screaming. He's ordering his archers to open fire, trying to stop our boy from escaping. A whole volley of glowing arrows comes flying right at him. He leaps between branches, weaving through the attack with ease. He uses the massive tree trunk as a perfect shield before activating his new toy. The light feather art gives him a clean, beautiful aerial escape. Now watch this. Here is where he turns the tables on them. With the skill active, he gracefully soars through the air, leaving them fuming. Cheng Heng is furious, ordering his men to camp the revive point for an ambush. Shadow Oath glides effortlessly over a massive lake, putting real distance between them. While one of the guild members tries to track him, he's already long gone. To stop him from escaping with the prize, a volley of glowing arrows screams his way. He leaps between the branches, but he easily weaves through the barrage. Using the massive tree trunk as a perfect shield, he waits for his opening. Then he activates his new toy, the light feather art. It gives him a clean, swift aerial escape. With the skill active, he gracefully soars through the air. He leaves the guild fuming down below, and Cheng Heng loses his mind. Cheng Heng furiously orders his men to camp the revive point for a cheap ambush. Shadow Oath glides effortlessly over a massive lake, putting serious distance between them. He moves fast, but now he applies the reagent right onto the armored corpse's skull. One of the guild members has to grab his boss to stop him from diving in. Having a truly brilliant idea, Cheng Heng decides to just leave. He leaves a squad behind, gambling that the chest will eventually respawn. More loot is on the way, so the guild gets orders to clear the area. They just wait for the next drop, while our guy is all ready. Thinking ahead, he realizes this new item is crucial for his next big move as he enters the Lake of Duskfall, a dangerous zone. It deals a nasty 50 corrosion damage every single second. Normally, you would have to suffer through it to get temporary immunity, but His new gear lets him skip the grind, which is perfect since he remembers dying 15 times here in his past life. Just to cross it, he arrives on the far shore, a lovely boneyard. It is filled with the remains of past adventurers, and as he makes his way through the grim landscape, he spots someone collapsed up ahead, finding an old man lying injured amongst the bones, clearly on his last leg's shadow. Oath approaches, already knowing this is the hidden non-player character. Everyone else misses him. The old man is starving, and turns out he is a master alchemist who teaches perfect potionology. But to trigger the quest, he needs 100 pieces of piranha meat. Anything else makes him hostile. Our boy looks absolutely disgusted, knowing exactly what he has to do next, picking up a piece of maggot-infested rotten meat from the ground while trying not to gag, because, well, the game's realism is a bit much. He knows this is the perfect bait, so he takes the disgusting meat right back into the corrosive lake, ready to start fishing. The maggot-infested meat sinks into the water, a truly gourmet invitation, and right on cue, a whole school of demonic-looking piranhas takes the bait. One of them lunges forward, ready to devour the nasty snack, which kicks off an absolute feeding frenzy as they tear the meat to shreds from the shore. Shadow Oath taunts them, having already set up the second part of his trap, placing another piece of rotten meat just out of the water's reach. The piranhas go absolutely wild, leaping out of the lake to get to the new bait, which is exactly the plan, since their health drains instantly the second they leave the water. With the fish now airborne and dying, Shadow Oath draws his sword for the easy cleanup, unleashing a single clean strike to wipe out the entire school. In one go, with the fish farmed, he has got the full 100 pieces of piranha meat ready to go. And back at the boneyard, the old man is practically begging, which finally triggers the quest, so Shadow Oath immediately accepts the assessment, knowing exactly what is about to happen. And the old man, he dives right in, chowing down on that raw piranha like it is a gourmet meal. His reward, a nice stack of HP potions. One of them is special, a temporary buff that could come in handy. And on top of that, the quest completion gives him just enough XP to level up again. He is genuinely shocked, realizing the old man actually handed over usable gear, not junk. The revived alchemist thanks him for the save, quite formally, introducing himself to our lead. But the game throws him a curveball. It asks how he will respond to this suspicious scholar. He recalls how the Black Dawn cult showed up here before. This non-player character vanished back then, a huge, lingering mystery. Instead of a normal answer, Shadow Oath goes full philosopher. Questioning what a name even means, he locks in this unusual response, knowing it is the secret trigger for the hidden quest line. The old alchemist absolutely loves it, laughing his head off at the kid's profound answer. As a reward, he offers a piece of maggot-infested, rotten meat as a little snack, then challenges him. If he is so enlightened, eating this should not be a problem, right? He even calls the disgusting thing a delicacy, inviting our boy to share the gourmet meal. Shadow Oath is completely grossed out, knowing he has to eat it even if the visuals are killing him. So he just closes his eyes and takes a massive, stomach-churning bite out of the rotten meat, which magically turns into delicious grilled steak. It even gives him a permanent strength boost. The test was a success, and his affinity with the alchemy sage Levin skyrockets by 100 points. The old man, Levin, reveals he is an alchemy sage exiled for his taboo research on souls, and since he is still recovering from his ordeal, he needs our boy to run a little errand for him. Shadow Oath immediately agrees, knowing this is the next step in the hidden quest line. Levin hands over a glowing vial of something seriously potent. He calls it a spirit return reagent, a potion with a very specific purpose. Turns out it reanimates restless corpses, giving them a brief flicker of their old will. Now, Shadow Oath has to fight these newly risen spirits to collect their lingering regrets. The system officially pops up with the quest, giving him the choice to accept or postpone. Levin sweetens the deal, promising the reward will be more than worth the trouble. And with a look of pure confidence, Shadow Oath accepts, ready for whatever comes next. With his quest accepted, Shadow Oath finds himself standing at the edge of a literal corpse field, and he is not wrong to call it the gates of hell, considering ... A quick check of his spirit recovery potion reveals something crazy. It's got 100 charges to reanimate the dead. That's a massive upgrade from the 30 he remembers from his past life. He figures he landed the premium version for acing that hidden quest. Now he needs to collect 30 lingering spirits to unlock the perfect potionology skill. Here's the kicker: revived monsters keep all their old gear. And since his own stats are pretty garbage, one elite undead means game over. So he smartly starts by picking off the weakest, most broken corpses first. He spots a target and pours the reagent right onto its skull. The potion works instantly. A glowing-eyed skeleton lurches back to life, standing up as a fresh zombie. It's got a respectable 140 HP. But Shadow Oath just squares up, completely unimpressed by the warm-up mob. The zombie screeches and lunges, going straight for the attack. Our boy casually bats it aside with his sword, dealing 11 damage. He's already hunting his next target before this one even hits the ground. That kill nets him a spirit remnant, 1 down, 29 to go. He sticks to the plan, farming another crippled corpse for an easy win. After another quick takedown, he scoops the loot from the dust. A quick check shows he's already collected 9 remnants. With the easy fodder cleared, Shadow Oath looks for a real challenge. He spots a fully armored skeleton, looks like a soldier killed by a ghoul. The risk is high, but the potential reward for an elite mob is worth it. See, his potion has a secret 1% chance to enslave the undead. On a brainless target, that jumps to 50%. Even if the gamble fails, he's already scattered a perfect hiding spot nearby. Done with the theory, he pours the reagent onto the armored skull. He gives the command to rise, hoping to score an elite servant. The skeleton lurches up with glowing red eyes, clearly hostile and ready to kill. Just as things look grim, a blue light battles the red aura. The hostile emblem on the knight's chest plate cracks and falls away. That signals a successful takeover. He's actually done it. Wait, turns out the enslavement failed because a tiny piece of the knight's heart is still intact. Shadow Oath is furious now, realizing the ghoul that killed this guy was a seriously picky eater. He gives the command to rise, hoping to score himself a brand new elite tier servant. Except the skeleton lurches up with glowing red eyes. It is clearly hostile and ready to attack, just as things look bad. A blue light starts fighting the red aura for control of the undead knight. The hostile emblem on its chest plate cracks and falls away. A successful takeover. It turns out the enslavement failed because a tiny piece of the knight's heart is still intact. Shadow Oath is furious, realizing the ghoul that killed this guy was a picky eater. He charges in for the kill. You can see the determination in his gaze. But Craig's attack connects first, sending him flying back with a brutal gash. The sheer force of the blow sends him tumbling helplessly through the air. Instead of a new pet, a massive axe comes swinging right for his head. A quick system check confirms this is a level 3 rare elite named Craig. This guy has tons of hit points and some kind of strange AI. He's even muttering about going home while preparing to murder our hero. Shadow Oath complains his luck is way too good since these mobs drop epic loot. Knowing he cannot win a straight fight, he immediately bolts through the woods. But that homesick skeleton is fast, right on his tail. It brings its axe down for a massive, heavy strike. The blade slams right into his shoulder for a brutal 49 damage. To make things worse, the axe is now lodged deep in his bone. He is completely stuck. Instead of panicking, Shadow Oath smashes his sword right into the embedded axe. The force sends the skeleton stumbling backward, finally freeing him. Craig's weapon gets lodged in a nearby tree, leaving the elite mob disarmed. Now watch this, here is the perfect chance to go on the offensive. He rushes in, landing a few quick strikes, but they barely scratch the armor. He is genuinely shocked at the rare elite's ridiculously high defense stats. The opening closes fast as Craig yanks his axe out of the trunk. He immediately winds up for another devastating overhead swing. Shadow Oath digs in, gripping his sword, refusing to back down. He unleashes his own powerful golden slash to meet the axe head-on. Sparks fly everywhere as they collide. Craig's weapon crashes down, but Shadow Oath manages to block in time. His counter-attack lands perfectly, scoring a massive critical hit. That exploit hits the skeleton's weak point, making Craig furious. Those glowing red eyes promise a world of hurt. They trade a flurry of blows, both their health bars dropping fast. Realizing he is outmatched, Shadow Oath pushes through the pain. He activates his berserk state, seeing the skeleton charging for the kill. Craig's attack connects first, sending him flying with a brutal chest gash. The sheer force of the blow sends him tumbling helplessly through the air. But he thinks fast, chucking a health potion mid-flight for a crucial heal. He lands perfectly, now surrounded by a new aura. He is ready to go for round 2. That flare of power explodes as he clashes with Craig again. He lands another solid 10 points of damage, but the elite hits back. But he thinks fast, chucking a health potion mid-flight for a crucial burst of healing. He lands perfectly, now surrounded by a new aura, ready for round 2. His aura flares as he clashes with Craig again, landing another solid 10 points of damage. But the elite mob hits back hard. She is from his past life, though her bright personality has been replaced by a cold, polite smile. He strikes at her with his own sword. The sheer force of the counterblow sends him flying backwards. A rude awakening about this elite's power. And before he can even recover, the undead warrior presses the advantage. He's barely holding on, but he is ready to get back to farming the last few quest items. It carves off a massive chunk of his health. He is down to his last 100 hit points. Both of them are sitting at 3 clean hits from death. He decides to bet it all, hoping the skeleton just throws a basic attack. Of course, it is not. Craig unleashes a brutal double slash that melts his health bar in seconds. Our boy curses his luck. He knows he completely misread the monster's pattern. But even then, he manages to land a counter in the trade. He refuses to go down easy. With his health bar sitting at practically nothing, Shadow Oath goes all in. He launches his sword in a desperate last-ditch throw right at the charging skeleton. He is fully prepared to die right here. As long as he takes this monster down, he does not care. Craig's axe just barely misses him. Shadow Oath's blade flies through the air, the gamble pays off. It slams right into the skeleton's chest. The steel pierces the elite armor and the monster dissolves into black energy. Our boy collapses. Exhausted, but miraculously, he is still breathing. A system alert confirms the kill, netting him a massive pile of experience and reputation. The corpse drops a lingering spirit and pieces of gear. He picks them up, some decent boots and a rare skill book, Abyssal Devour Curse. Shadow Oath is ecstatic. He just hit the jackpot on this one elite mob. He immediately starts eating bread to recover from the brutal fight. Now watch this, catching his breath. He admits that elite damage was insane. Just as he starts to recover, a voice warns him. Apparently, this is not exactly the safest spot for a nap. It turns out to be Linju, a shadow priest and a close friend from his past life. Shadow Oath is completely floored. He never expected to run into her this early in the game. He recognizes her as Lin Lan, a key figure from his history. He remembers saving her from a pack of shadow wolves back when she was cornered. That was the moment that forged their alliance. Back then, he single-handedly bailed her out of trouble. He is shocked to see her again at the Lake of Dusk Sol. It is a place he never expected to encounter her. He is staring so intently that she is starting to get a little flustered. He quickly thanks her, realizing the elite's final blow missing was no accident. She used a dark word skill to debuff its accuracy, giving him the opening to win. He notes how different she is from his past life. Her old bright personality has been replaced by a polite, distant smile. He prepares to thank her properly for the save. Before they jump back in, he decides it is time for a proper upgrade. That cold look is gone. He puts on a polite smile, offering her a quick thanks. To seal the deal, he offers the rare Abyssal Devour Curse, a skill book he just looted. But she brushes it off, saying she hates fights that feel unfair. She turns to leave, but he moves fast to stop her, suggesting they party up. He can summon undead minions to take the heat off them, he explains. Lin Suo actually hesitates for a second, clearly weighing the risk. Is teaming up with a total stranger really worth the gamble? She finally agrees, but she's laying down the law right now. Luke gets split 50-50, and every scrap of bone dust is his. The party invite goes through, but he instantly clocks something is off. She is still hiding her name, clearly wary of him. Partnership officially formed. He gets right back to work. He starts reanimating another armored corpse, pulling it back from the grave. As the skeleton lurches to its feet, he gives her the signal. She fires up her dark magic, and Shadow Oath braces for the clash. Lin Suo immediately backs him up, her dark energy surging forward. His sword aura shreds the skeleton, and he follows with a brutal overhead swing. The corpse completely shatters under the weight of his blade. His insane damage output leaves Lin Suo genuinely stunned. She is realizing he is definitely no ordinary player. Shadow Oath quickly lays out a perfect kiting strategy. It is exactly what she was thinking, too. They are in sync. With the plan locked, he dashes off to aggro the next group. She starts charging up a heavy dark magic spell from a safe distance. Her spell slams into the mob, perfectly setting the stage for him. It empowers him to dive straight into the horde with a wild spinning slash. The entire area is cleared in mere seconds, leaving only bony remains. Without a single pause, he finds the next target for his dark art. He starts reanimating another armored corpse for another round. With the last mob turned to dust, he goes right back to work. He figures they will just keep reviving them one by one for a simple grind. But then, this one's eyes flare up a bright, violent red. That is the universal sign. This is no normal mob. A fully armored elite warrior lurches up, looking way more dangerous. Watch out, this thing is fast. It charges straight for Lin Suo, who barely has time to react. Shadow Oath screams a warning as the elite's blade comes swinging down. She is completely caught off guard by the sheer speed of that strike. But our boy dives in at the absolute last second. He blocks the deadly blow with his own sword, steel screaming against steel. The sheer force of the impact sends him flying backward. It is a brutal, rude awakening about exactly how strong this elite really is. Before he can even recover his footing, the undead warrior keeps pressing the attack. He swings his own blade, but the sheer force of the counter blow sends him flying. Stumbling backwards, he gets a rude, painful awakening about this elite's real power. And before he can even find his footing, the undead warrior is already closing the gap. Lin Suo jumps in, unleashing a vicious follow-up slash. She channels dark magic, finally providing some much-needed backup. Her dark word spell slams into the elite, debuffing it hard. Purple energy screams out, giving Shadow Oath the perfect opening. He lunges, ready to land that critical follow-up strike. The elite is stunned, but Shadow Oath is down to his last few hit points. He realizes he has to end this fight right now. Instead of attacking, he reaches into his back pocket. He pulls out that same reanimation potion, a last-ditch plan. He chucks it at a nearby corpse, changing its purpose entirely. Commanding his new, disposable ally to rise, the inflatement works. A low-level skeleton servant stands on the spot, ready to fight. Armed with a dagger, the bony minion waits for his order. Shadow Oath points toward the fray, charge straight into it. The minion obeys instantly, swinging its blade to intercept the elite. It buys Shadow Oath the time he desperately needs to breathe. That disposable minion actually lands a surprisingly decent hit. As the elite stumbles, Shadow Oath sees his chance. He powers up his sword for one devastating finishing blow. A massive, lightning-infused slash rips through the air. It completely overwhelms the undead warrior. The elite dissolves. A pile of loot remains, netting them bone dust and spirit remnants. Lincio watches on, finding his fighting style strangely familiar. A quick inventory check, Shadow Oath has all 30 spirits. Perfect potionology is finally in the bag. She nervously gets his attention, asking about his quest progress. She admits she still needs 16 more bone dust for herself. She worries he'll ditch her now that his task is done. But Shadow Oath doesn't leave. He just opens a trade window. He offers 12 of his own bone dust, just like that. Now watch this move. He suggests they farm the last 4 together. Lincio is left completely speechless by the gesture. He justifies sticking around, cheekily mentioning he wants affection points. Lincio isn't amused by his joke about treating her like an NPC. She hates owing favors, so she offers a skill book instead. It is an elite tier warrior skill, Counter-Strike Guard. He accepts the book happily, without a second thought. In return, he offers her the Abyssal Devour Curse book. He insists it will speed up their grind significantly. After a little convincing about efficiency, she finally agrees to take it. With their gear upgraded, they are both ready to get back to farming. They still have a few quest items left to track down. Before they jump back in, he decides it is time for a proper break. He's itching to get back to the grind and farm those last few quest items. Before they jump back into the action, he decides it is finally time for a proper upgrade. Shadow Oath steps in. He calls himself that and even apologizes for staring. He explains she looks exactly like a friend he used to know. She finally accepts his handshake and lets her guard down. Her name is Lin Len, and she is exactly who Shadow Oath thought. Rebuilding that old bond will take time, but he's not a stranger anymore. With the introductions out of the way, they get back to work, clearing out the rest of the boneyard together, side by side. Lin Len is so impressed by his combat skills, she starts making guesses. She assumes he must be a part of some elite, high-profile guild. Shadow Oath shuts that down instantly, still mid-fight, barely breaking a sweat. He bluntly tells her he prefers to fly solo, no attachments. So she pivots, inviting him to raid a high-level cave with her team. He politely turns her down again, just as he finishes off a skeleton. Not a team player. He says he likes his freedom too much. Joining a permanent party always comes with way too many strings attached. She watches him clear mobs with ease, looking clearly disappointed by the rejection. Then, everything changes. He suddenly tells her to keep a spot open for him after all. Lin Len happily agrees, locking in their future partnership for the big raid. With their deal set, they get back to farming the undead. Shadow Oath easily blocks the next skeleton's heavy attack. The force of the blow sends him sliding backwards across the dirt. But he doesn't miss a beat, following up with a brutal golden flash. That strike completely obliterates the mob in a flash of light. He admits to himself, having a real block skill makes combat way more fun. Just like that, a system prompt flashes. They collected all 50 pieces of bone dust. Quest complete. Lin Len thanks him for all the help. She gets ready to head back, but he reminds her about that dungeon raid. After she leaves, Shadow Oath finds himself alone in the creepy boneyard again. He makes his way back to the main city under the evening sky. Quiet streets, cool air, knowing he is just shy of level 3. With his quest done, he's already planning his next move. The soul-devouring demon cave, a dungeon hiding a crucial item. But first, he arrives to turn in 30 spirit remnants. Alchemist Arasso is there, looking way too relaxed for a guy like him. He confirms he has all the items ready to finish this. He hands them over to the alchemist's hooded assistant for a quick inspection. She is clearly pleased with his speed and his efficiency. Now she is finally preparing to hand over his well-earned reward. First, he shows up to turn in those 30 spirit remnants. Arasso the alchemist looks pretty relaxed about the whole deal. He confirms he has every single item ready to go. He hands them over to the hooded assistant for inspection. She seems genuinely pleased with how efficient he's been. She starts getting his well-earned reward ready right away. The quest earns him a solid chunk of EXP and finally unlocks that perfect potionology skill he was after. But Shadow Oath gets curious, asking exactly what she plans to do. With all those spooky ghost remnants, she explains they are a potent reagent from powerful undead, and she needs every last one for her work, handing them over bumps. His quest reward even higher, scoring him a brand new runic cloak for his trouble. The gear comes with some solid stats and a temporary HP boost, leaving him pretty pumped about the loot until the next step, farming 100 more spirits. The game offers a pay-to-win shortcut, but he cannot afford it with his new alchemy skill unlocked. Shadow Oath immediately starts cooking up a plan to make some quick cash. He heads straight for the city gates at night, ignoring the very obvious danger signs. Even when a guard warns him to stay inside, our boy just waves it off with a confident smile. Once outside, he grabs a broken piece of wood, the first step in his brilliant, low-budget business venture, planting his makeshift sign. He looks like a man about to corner the market. His little setup immediately catches the eye of a nearby party of players who decide to investigate, only to find he is buying Darkfine saliva. It is a completely useless item, but his offer of 1 copper per stack is just tempting enough to make them question their life choices. Shadow Oath lays on the charm, pitching his incredible business opportunity to the baffled adventurers. All they have to do is crouch by the guards and scoop up the saliva for some easy money. And just like that, the players are scrambling around with buckets scooping up monster spit like it is gold. They are completely sold on this get-rich-quick scheme, bragging about their haul. Shadow Oath just smiles, enabling auto trade. He feels pretty smug about his 1 silver startup capital until one guy finally asks what he is doing with all this useless junk. A valid question, but our boy ignores him, closing out the trade after a solid 30 minutes of bulk buying. He calls it a day for now, but the players are practically begging him to stay, shouting they have got more to sell. He has to shut them down, admitting his inventory is full, but promising to return for another round later with bags full of monster drool. He makes a quick retreat back into the safety of the city walls. Once inside, he gets straight to work, pouring a solvent into a flask to start the real magic. He adds the saliva, knowing his flawless potionology skill ensures near-perfect results. The result is a slow mana potion, simple, but a killer start for his business. He lists it on the auction house right away, setting the price at 20 copper. He knows the old alchemy king got roasted for selling at 15. He is ready to undercut the market, and just like that, they start flying. His market sense is on point. The sales just keep rolling in. Players snap up his entire stock in a matter of seconds. And that is just the start. He is sitting on 200 more bottles. First round of cash secured. He immediately pivots to investing in antidote materials. He snaps up every recipe he finds before anyone else even catches on. You see, he knows the upcoming Wood Castle dungeon will make antidotes mandatory. He buys 13 recipes, perfectly positioning himself to corner the entire market. He knows the price of low-grade antidotes is about to go through the roof. He is already picturing the mountain of gold he will make using his rival's secrets. Just then, a message pops up from Cheng Heng, offering him the Vice Guild Master spot. A tempting proposition for any normal player who just hit the market. But Shadow Oath just smirks, finding the whole desperate attempt pretty amusing. He scoffs at the public recruitment, a cheap ploy to build fame. He knows that guild is a sinking ship, so he has zero interest in joining. Back at the auction house, he notices sales have slowed down. Now watch this. He realizes buyers are playing a game of chicken to bait him. They want to force his prices down, so he just pulls his entire stock. He leaves them all hanging until tomorrow. Just then, he gets a message from Lin Lan, spamming his inbox with pure rage. He plays dumb, asking what has her so worked up, knowing full well it is him. Turns out she is furious at some jerk who price gouged mana potions, then pulled them. He finds it hilarious, so he mails her 20 potions he bought. He tells her he is off on a quest, hoping she misses the connection. With his market manipulation a total success, Shadow Oath heads for his next objective. The Zenith of Darkness, a place torn between eras of dragons and demons. A truly epic stage for what comes next. He figures they're playing chicken to force his prices down. So he just pulls his entire stock right off the market. Total silence. He leaves them all hanging until tomorrow. Just then, a message pops up from Lin Lan. She's absolutely spamming his inbox with pure, unadulterated rage. He plays dumb, asking what has her so worked up. He knows the answer is him. She's furious at some jerk. That guy price gauged mana potions and then pulled them away. He finds it hilarious, so he mails her 20 potions. He tells her he's off on a quest before she connects the dots. She hasn't realized yet that he's the one behind the market chaos. With his plan a roaring success, Shadow Oath heads out. He's aiming for the Zenith of Darkness, an epic, dangerous stage. This place is a world torn between dragons and demons. The epic clash with demons left some pretty nasty scars on this land. Look at those jagged peaks. They're made of solidified demon fire. After that massive calamity, the Zenith of Darkness became a total dead zone. No loot, no monsters. Honestly, nobody ever bothers coming here anymore. But he recalls a secret exploit from his past life that everyone else missed. Turns out he's hunting the Crimson Marrow fruits, a treasure that made another guild millions. The trees here grow in perpetual green demon flames, feeding off the fire. To grab the fruit, he needs to ride a very specific wind current. It only appears every 10 minutes, so he just waits, tracking the air with stray leaves. Once the wind finally shifts in his favor, he knows this is it. His one shot at the climb, he immediately activates his light feather skill. He gracefully soars up the mountainside on a trail of glowing green energy. But just as he is making progress, the wind suddenly changes direction, way ahead of schedule. It completely throws him off balance, sending him plummeting back down. Now watch this, he faceplants for a solid 80 damage. Realizing his low level makes this climb a total death trap. Without any fancy wine-changing scrolls this time, Shadow Oath is forced to sit and wait. 3 hours later, he's still parked there, waiting for the perfect window. He's getting antsy, needing a specific 30-minute window of south wine to even attempt this. But he's not giving up, because this fruit was his biggest regret. Finally, the wind shifts. He immediately triggers his light feather skill again, launching himself up the slope on that updraft. Look at that pure focus. He's determined to ride this single current all the way to the peak, confident that the wind force is finally strong enough to carry him the entire way. As he soars higher, leaving the ground far below in a blur of green energy, he keeps his momentum, looking completely in control as he navigates those currents. Then he prepares his next move, unleashing a golden arc as he climbs. He says he came prepared for this part, and he's not lying. Turns out his big plan was a polymorph scroll, turning him into a helpless sheep. With exactly 1 HP, he's getting bounced around by the currents, taking chip damage. But he finally makes it. He touches down at the top. Reverting back to human form, he's just catching his breath. This little safe zone is perfect for a quick snack break. His power is finally steady enough to carry him the full way. He soars higher and higher. The ground just vanishes beneath him. Below, it is all a blur of green energy as he holds his momentum. He looks totally in control, cutting through those treacherous air currents. Then he readies his next move, a flash of golden light. He claims he is prepared for this, but here comes the twist. His big plan, a polymorph scroll turning him into a helpless sheep. With exactly 1 health point, he just bounces around the sky. Each gust of wind slams him, dealing chip damage on every hit. Still, he somehow makes it to the very top in one piece. He shifts back to human form, gasping for air, lungs burning. This little safe zone, it is the perfect spot for a snack. He needs to recover some health, and right on cue, he spots his prize, the legendary crimson marrow fruits. Just lying there on the ground, he's totally stunned. Then he looks up from his find, and he realizes these aren't random spawns. They're growing on a massive, ancient tree. Each one a permanent stat boost, his inner. Goblin immediately wants to eat the whole lot for a god tier. Power up, but the game limits him to 2. And the tree is a whole buffet of permanent stats, forcing him to choose the absolute best ones for himself. So he snags the 2 most valuable fruits, boosting his critical hit rate by a total of 5%, with his permanent crit boost secured. Shadow Oath finish. His snack, completely unaware of the fine print, because the ancient tree suddenly starts bleeding. Never a good sign. In a fantasy game, a red aura flares up around him and he realizes something is very, very wrong, bracing himself as the game's bait and switch trap finally springs shut. Right on cue, a horrifying flesh monster with embedded faces erupts. From the ground to attack, he discovers the fruits. Nasty side effect has put him under the creatures. Complete control, he realizes the whole thing was a trap. And dying now might permanently strip him of those new stats. The monster roars, ready to finish him off, while he's completely paralyzed and helpless. But he activates his Heart of Light Feather skill, breaking free, with a massive shockwave which sends the creature reeling, giving him a much-needed opening to finally fight back. With his opening secured, Shadow Oath unleashes a powerful golden strike, flaming his sword right into the horrifying flesh monster. With a furious battle cry, the creature reels back, stunned by the sheer force of the attack. But his victory lap is cut short as the mountain's wind currents kick back in, immediately throwing him off balance and sending him tumbling helplessly through the air. And that is when he spots a mysterious broken blade just floating in the updraft. Realizing he cannot fight the wind, he knows he needs a new way to get around, so he thinks fast, tossing out a capture trap with some seriously impressive aim which snares the broken blade, giving him a solid anchor point in the sky. He follows up by throwing a javelin, creating a makeshift grappling hook to pull himself to safety. Suddenly, the mysterious blade lashes out, cutting through the turbulent air with incredible speed. It slams right into Shadow Oath, carving off a solid 45 points of his health. The impact sends him flying helplessly through the chaotic air. Fierce whines rip the sword right out of his hands. But he doesn't panic. He sees an opening to strike. He taps a scroll. In a blink, he teleports high up, snatching the falling blade midair. He feels victory. But those biting whines, they are still shredding his health. And in a stroke of pure, cruel irony, he lands right on his own trap, the one he threw earlier. It locks him solid, 2 seconds of total, helpless silence. Just like that, the system announces it, he is dead. His soul hits the afterlife, where the reality sets in. Dying slashes his level, and reviving, that hits him hard. A crushing 2-minute debuff. Back as a ghost, Shadow Oath watches. That mysterious blade, it is actually drinking his blood, draining his corpse, stuck in this brutal, endless death loop. The zenith of darkness, a place that claims every single soul. He hits revive, his body pulls back together, right where he fell. Time for another round of agony. He is back at the start, staring at his sword, it is still buried deep in the earth. The wind instantly kicks in, chewing through his health again. Every second is a desperate, losing race against time. And just like that, dead again. A tiny ghost cursing his luck. 3 deaths in a row. Now he finally notices the shift. The sword, it is different. It's been feeding this whole time. Its own HP bar completely full. The blade is finally sated. It's ready for him. He grips the hilt and yanks, ripping it free with raw force. A demonic blue aura explodes outward, fracturing the very sky. Lightning arcs everywhere. The blade is finally his to control. Crackling with menacing energy, the weapon hums in his hand. Shadow Oath smirks. He is ready to test this beast out. A quick stat check pops up. It is a bronze broken blade, packed with a wild skill, yet the true power is still sealed. He is confused. This was a level 50 gold weapon before, nerfed by his own low level. Before he can even think, the ground erupts underneath him. Jagged red spikes tear through the earth, summoning a nightmare. A level 100 demon lord, the Hell Warden, fantastic. Shadow Oath doesn't hesitate. He launches himself into the air. Facing down that massive, towering monster is a death wish. He knows a straight fight is suicide. He hits his skill. Light feather activates. He surges high above the canopy. He's sprinting through the sky, trying to put distance between them. But the demon is right on his tail, swiping with blurred speed. The warden unleashes a massive, roaring wave of hellfire. The forest below vanishes, swallowed by the flames in seconds. Shadow Oath is pushing his luck, flying for his life to escape the inferno. He chugs a potion midair, just desperate to stay aloft a little longer. Running is suicide. He knows his only shot is making it to Locktown. But time is slipping away, and he's cursing his luck with flames hot on his heels. Just then, a region-wide alert screams out. The demon lord is attacking the city. Panic ripples through the players. The whole town is mobilizing in seconds. Already, they're arguing over who gets to claim the loot from this world boss. It isn't long before the top-ranked experts start appearing on the rooftops. The big shots are all here. You've got Cheng Heng from the Imperial Alliance. An assassin named Silly Fox is lurking nearby, plus a mage and a sniper. A whole host of guild leaders are gathering, ready for this massive raid. The City Paladin Legion immediately forms up, deploying a solid golden wall. Their magic shields combine, simmering into a massive dome over the city. Just in time, too, the sky turns pitch black as the world boss arrives. The Hell Warden descends from the clouds, looking every bit like a level 100 threat. While the guards scramble, Shadow Oath zips past them, ducking into the crowd. He finally blends in with the other players, letting out a shaky breath of relief. He's outrun certain death, but the Hell Warden roars, frustrated that its target vanished. That's the perfect cue for the Paladin leader. He calls down Holy Judgment. The attack slams down with a jaw-dropping 293,000 points of damage. Shadow Oath just watches from the sidelines, smirking at his own master plan. Using these players as cannon fodder, it's working exactly as he hoped. The Hell Warden is absolutely furious, realizing it's cornered by these defenders. It lets out a massive roar, desperately trying to fly away and escape the trap. But the Paladins aren't letting it go. They scream for the Holy Light Cannon. A volley of holy energy beams shoots into the sky, zeroing in on the demon. It slams right into the boss, engulfing the Hell Warden in a massive fiery explosion. Players on the ground stare in total shock as the sky lights up overhead. The demon is completely overwhelmed by the blast, its escape plan failing spectacularly. As the boss begins falling from the clouds, everyone realizes it's loot o'clock. The Paladin leader gives the signal, and a mob of players charges forward for the kill. Of course, the Imperial Alliance immediately tries to seize the loot for themselves. Completely trapped by the city defenders, the beast lets out a massive roar and lunges upward, desperate to break free and escape. But the Paladins are ready, screaming at their troops to hold the line. They unleash the holy light cannon and a barrage of pure energy. A beam of light shoots into the sky, zeroing in on the demon. It slams right into the target, engulfing the world boss in a sudden, fiery explosion. Players on the ground can only stare in pure shock. The sky lights up like day, and the creature is completely overwhelmed by the holy blast. Its escape plan has failed spectacularly. As the boss starts falling, the players realize it is finally loot time. The paladin leader gives the order, and the entire mob of players charges forward for the kill. Of course, the Imperial Alliance immediately tries to claim the prize. The guild threatens anyone in their way just as the chaos erupts. Silly Fox zips past everyone, kicking a knight aside to clear a path. He offers a totally insincere apology while making a beeline for the boss loot. He blazes across the battlefield in a blur of blue energy, too fast for anyone to stop until a rival player intercepts him. Throwing up an ice wall, the masked assassin blocks his path completely. He makes it clear, no way he lets the fox get that gear. It's the perfect distraction, and the rest of the players devolve into a brawl. While they're all busy fighting, someone else quietly swoops in. He snags the prize, a blue-haired guy with a monocle. He proudly claims the golden armor for himself, right there on the spot. But his celebration lasts 2 seconds before someone yanks the matching boot away. He's left stunned as the entire angry mob charges straight for him. With the golden gauntlet flying free, everyone scrambles to claim the epic loot. Some overconfident blonde knight celebrates way too early. He's convinced it's all his, reaching up dramatically as it falls from the sky. But someone sticks a foot out at the last second, tripping him mid-celebration. He stumbles forward, the gauntlet sails over his head, and he eats dirt. He completely misses his one and only chance to grab it. A nearby white-haired player with fox ears wonders where the gear went. Then he looks down and sees Shadow Oath just casually holding the armor. The guy is stunned that the winner is somehow only level 1. A furious blonde knight gets in Shadow Oath's face, demanding answers for the trip. Just as things get heated, Silly Fox steps in. He tells the guild master to back off his friend, but Cheng Heng just scoffs, daring Fox to protect Shadow Oath from a kill order. Shadow Oath is surprised, remembering Fox's loyalty but doubting he'd start a war. Fox calls his bluff, threatening to hunt Cheng Heng's level 1 out. Now watch this, the guild master is completely floored by the sheer audacity. That threat leaves him absolutely speechless. That is when the masked assassin chimes in, telling Cheng Heng to drop it. He warns him not to ruin his reputation over this. Seeing he has lost the crowd, Cheng Heng finally backs off. He pretends to let our boy go because he is just an out. But as he walks away, he can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. Cheng Heng looks stunned, remembering Fox's loyalty but doubting he'd ever start a war over a stranger. But Fox just calls his bluff right there in front of everyone. He threatens to hunt down Cheng Heng's level 1 out for some absolute server drama. The guild master is completely floored by the sheer audacity of that threat. Left speechless, he just stares. He honestly can't believe anyone would go that far. That is when the masked assassin chimes in, telling Cheng Heng to drop it. The message is clear. Back down now before you ruin your reputation for good. Seeing he's lost the crowd, Cheng Heng finally decides to back off. He pretends to let our boy go, claiming it's just because he's a low-level out. But as he walks away, he just can't shake the feeling that something went wrong. Shadow Oath feels oddly familiar. He knows he's seen that guy before. But the memory, it just won't click into place. Meanwhile, the masked assassin watches the whole scene play out. He's quiet, just observing, clearly weighing his next move. With the tension easing, Fox dangles that second piece of golden armor. He holds it right in front of the masked assassin. The guy doesn't hesitate, offering a cool 100 grand on the spot. Ready to drop serious cash for the epic loot, but Fox isn't biting. He just laughs and doubles the price to 200,000. Trying to fleece a fellow expert, talk about a bold move. The assassin sarcastically tells him to keep it as a family heirloom, shutting that absurd offer down completely. Fox, totally unfazed, turns to Shadow Oath to formally introduce himself. He invites him to join his guild, Midnight Triumph. Shadow Oath agrees, then shoots a friend request to the masked assassin, playing the ultimate networker. He's already gloating inside, having to major guild masters on his list. And he's not even level 2 yet. Later, at the auction house, the whole server is in an uproar. Everyone is desperate. Mana potions are completely sold out. Right on cue, Shadow Oath strolls in with a smug grin. He announces he is here to restock the shelves, listing his supply, and they sell out in mere seconds. His market manipulation is a roaring success. Shadow Oath smirks as the gold rolls in, knowing he's got them. He's perfectly exploiting their desperation, listing another 350 bottles, while the other players are in a total buying frenzy. Our boy just scoffs at the outrage, calling it standard business. With 2 silver coins in his pocket, he starts hunting for gear. He needs those upgrades. After gearing up, he hits the city streets, ready for his next move. But a message from Lin cuts him short. She wants to know if he is still down for that dungeon raid. He has to turn her down, explaining he died 3 times and got kicked back to level 2. Shadow Oath tells her to go on without him, bowing out politely. He heads to an item shop, ordering 70 holy light torches in bulk. The purchase drains nearly all his new cash. 3 silver coins gone for supplies. The shopkeeper is left stunned by such big spending. Shadow Oath doesn't waste a second, getting right back on the grind, deciding to hit up the Gloom Lake of Souls to farm. He needs those lingering wills for another quest. Apparently, it involves fishing for undead souls, a surprisingly chill mission. He turns in the items, and that's a wrap. The hooded assistant is thrilled, staring at his perfect completion rate. His reward, a massive heap of experience and a brand new gold. Wave Cloak with some pretty solid stats, but honestly, even with all that, he's still just level 2, already whining about how slow the leveling grind is. Quest finished, he fires off. A quick message to Lin, letting her know he's on his way. He pulls up to the Spirit Devouring Lair entrance, where a crowd of players is scrambling to form parties. A blonde warrior politely turns everyone down, explaining their group is full. They're just waiting for one last friend, who is, of course, our boy. And he's already complaining to Lin about having to carry him. Lin keeps assuring her party that their last member is coming, but the blonde warrior keeps on grousing. A healer named Red Maple tries to keep the peace, figuring an extra body is better than nothing. The blonde guy is still worried a low-level player will ruin his dream of hitting the leaderboards, a very serious concern. Right on cue, Shadow Oath strolls in, apologizing for keeping them all waiting. He immediately introduces himself to the group, who are clearly sizing him up from the start. The blonde warrior immediately sneers at his level 2 status and that broken sword, writing him off as a total noob. This leaves Lin completely confused, since she knows for a fact this noob hits like an absolute truck. But the blonde guy pulls a complete 180, suddenly calling him Big Bro and sucking up, so the healer has to point out the fake act.